Hey little fella, how you doing? Huh? Huh? You smell like the beach. Oh yeah. You wanna go take a bath? Huh? Work on your tan a little bit? Huh? What do you say? What do you say? How's it going? This is Steve Anderson. I am your host of the Anodized Chef. Today we're gonna do steamers, we're gonna do lobster, we're gonna do corn on the cob, baked potato, coleslaw, the New England clam bake. It's gonna be awesome. Say bye. Welcome to another awesome episode. I can't wait to do this. It's going to be great. We bring heavy metal to your stovetops and to your lives. And today we're going to do a summertime lunch that's going to be crazy. We're going to start with the coleslaw. We're going to get right into it. What I've done is I've broken down some cabbage here, and I'm going to show you how to how to break it down and get it into the salad. So just like you get it at the supermarkets, or when you go and you get it shredded. Now some people, you can use a food processor, you can use a grinding attachment on a food processor, or you can just take a knife to it. And as you can see, I'm just kind of going right down into thin strips. And that's all you want to do. I cut it into quarters, took the stem out, which is what I got here, and then we're just going to chop it up like this here. And once this is cut up, we're going to go ahead and add our other ingredients. This is real easy to make. You're going to be amazed at how simple this is. And I hope you're going to make it a lot, especially in the summertime. So what we'll do is we'll put this in a bowl, and then we're going to get right into the dressing. And I'll tell you what the dressing's all about here. We're going to start with it's a simple 3-ingredient dressing. It is white vinegar, granulated sugar, and mayonnaise, and that's it. And what we have is 2 cups of mayo. I've got about 2/3 of a cup of white vinegar, and you can use any kind, and about 2/3 of a cup of granulated sugar. So we're going to go ahead and get them right in the bowl and make this dressing. And this dressing will be enough to cover about 5 cups of coleslaw. And that's it. We're just going to mix this all together. And the mayo will break down by that vinegar and it's going to be a little bit soupier than mayonnaise consistency. And that's it. And then what I've done was I went ahead and I've got here about 4 cups of shredded cabbage and about 1 cup, maybe a little more than 1 cup of shredded carrots. Now you can buy the convenient carrots, or again, you can use your food processor or mandolin or different attachments to cut the carrots into thin strips like that. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna take the dressing, pour it right on that coleslaw, and give it a toss. Now, my personal preference when I make coleslaw is to make it the day before. And the reason why is because when the dressing sits on that cabbage, the acids and the vinegar break that cabbage down a little bit. It gets a little bit softer, more of the flavors kind of marry, and it just tastes a lot better. So, I mean, it's good fresh. It's good. It's got a very crisp taste when you eat it right away. But if you can let it sit overnight, I think it's like pasta sauce. Second day, it is awesome. And that's it. Now you can see the consistency there. See? That looks perfect. It's not runny. You don't have a ton of dressing left over at the bottom. And then you will tomorrow. As it sits, what's going to happen is the vinegar is going to break the water vessels, the water out of the vessels in the vegetables. And what's going to happen is you'll get a little bit of sauce at the bottom of the bag or bowl or whatever you're storing it in. But all right, slamming. All right, so I love slamming. So we're going to just put it in a bowl here, and we'll finish this up. And that's pretty much how that gets served, just like that. And we're going to get right into the steamers. And the thing about steamers is when you buy them, they come already cleaned up, all ready to go, allegedly. But what I find is you have to wash them again. And I wash them 3 times because you'll be amazed at how much sand comes out of them. And another thing too is sometimes if you can get them early enough, And I don't know how true this is, it's an old wives' tale, but if you take them and you put them in a dish and you sprinkle cornmeal on top, the clam will eat the cornmeal and expel any sand that they have in the from underneath the ocean. So they're supposed to be a cleaner clam. I don't know. I've done it a few times. You know, honestly, I've had pretty good luck with clams. I haven't had anything too dirty, but you know, it's worth a shot. You know. So we're gonna get right into this. And what I'm doing here is I'm just gonna heat the pan up, and I'm gonna go ahead and I've got about 2.5 pounds of clams here. I'm gonna throw about half of what I got. See that pan's coming right to life. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put, it's a big enough pan, I'm gonna throw them all in there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add just a little bit of water right into the bottom of that. Now remember, when they steam, more water is gonna come out of them. You know what else I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add just a splash of our featured wine right in there. Just so you can say it goes with the dish. And then we're going to go ahead and cover it. So you want to do it in a pan that has deep sides and that has a lid that fits, because you can't really steam steamers if you're not covering them and letting that steam stay in there. So these guys are going to go like that, and as they cook, they're going to open. The water's going to come out of them. You're going to have more liquid in the bottom of that when you're done. And this is a good opportunity now when these are cooking to go ahead and steam off or melt down some butter. You know, you can pop a couple sticks of butter in the microwave, because you can't really have steamers without butter. So that's pretty much it there. We're gonna let this cook for just a few minutes. And as this goes, we'll talk a little bit about the lobster that's coming up here. And what I've done is I've bought some lobster, and we have here about 1.25 pounds, pound and a half, pound and a quarter. And you get them at the supermarket, and as you can see, these are very much alive. And what you want to do is you want to get your soup container, your stock pot here. You want to fill it up about halfway with boiling water. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want to make sure you're putting these live lobsters into the pan when it's, you know, the water's boiling. Because well, not only is it's going to take a lot longer to cook, but it's a little bit less, you know, humane if you just throw them into warm water and bring them up to a boil that way. So I've got a good roll. You can see the steam coming off this kettle here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw the lobsters right in there and right into the water. Just be careful now, because that water is really hot. So you want to watch your fingers as you're going in. And they're going to take, once that water comes back to a boil, you want to let them cook for about 14 minutes. And I say about 14 minutes. That's pretty accurate. 12 to 14, depending on the size. If they're really big, you want to let them go a little bit longer. But 1.25 pounds usually will go about 14 minutes is perfect. And these steamers are really going strong. You can, if you want to get in here, you can kind of see before the steam clouds them back up again. They're starting to open up a little bit here. So you want to just kind of move them around. Yeah, baby. And they don't take long. Once that water starts to boil, they'll be ready to go in 5 minutes. So while they're just finishing up, I'm going to go ahead and just rinse this plate off, and we're going to get ready. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the clams out of the pan here, and we're going to set them up right on the plate. And I'm just going to use a slotted spoon just to kind of fish them out. And what I want to do here is I'm just going to take some of this broth, the broth that's in there, and I'm going to put it into a bowl, a separate bowl. And what I have here too is I have broth and I have drawn butter, because you can't have New England steamed clams without broth and drawn butter. So let's pop these guys out of there. Oh man, it smells like summer in this house. It actually feels like it too. All that steam climbing that back there. We got, all right, so let's see, that's probably enough to put on the plate. Now you take this, right, you go like this. And let me just show you real quick how you break one of these down. You take you split the shell like this here, then you're gonna pull the clam right out of there. And then usually I take this little external piece off, that's the outside skin, and there's your clam right there. Look at how delicious that is. Just give it a dip in the broth, that helps to clean it up a little bit. Go right into the drawn butter. Oh man. Yeah, guys. Wow. All right, so This is going to be enough for everybody, I hope. But that's pretty much all there is to this. We want to eat these while they're still hot too. But we're going to go ahead and set this aside. And that is our steamed clam presentation. We're going to go right into the lobster now. So we're going to go ahead and take our lobster out. Oh yeah. And I've got a tray set up here to hold him. And the reason why I'm doing that is, you're taking it out of a pot full of water. So what we're gonna do, when we go to clean him up, and I'm gonna show you how to clean him up, but you wanna have something underneath that has a little bit of a lip on it so you can drain some of it, because when you start cracking this thing, you're gonna have a lot of liquid coming out of it. So you don't rather not make a mess on the table or the counter or something like that, so always set up a cutting board with like a drip tray under it to catch that excess water. We're gonna go ahead and get right into it. The first thing you want to do, now be careful, this is hot when it comes right out. You can let it cool down a little bit because you're going to dip it into the broth and the butter and stuff anyway, and that's going to help to warm it up. But you don't want to leave it out for too long. But we're going to go ahead and work with it while it's hot. We're going to take these elastics off and be very careful. They're not going to pinch you, but when you're working with a knife, you just want to be careful. And throw these elastics away. And what I like to do is snap the arms off like this. Snap the tail off. Actually, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to show you how to do a presentation. Ooh, that's hot. I'm going to cut it right down the middle. And just be, like I said, be very careful with the knife. And you can start to see some of that water coming out of it. Right down to the tip of the tail. And you can see the water running down that cutting board. That would normally end up on your table. So it's a smart idea. Okay, now one of the things you want to be careful of is the tamale. Now some people say, "Oh, tamale is so good, it's so tasty, whatever." Just be careful because this stuff here could contain toxins from the sea. It depends on what that lobster ate. So you just want to be careful on what you do now. See what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of scraping out the body stuff, the body parts, like the heart and the lungs and all that stuff. I know that's gross to hear, but that's what we're doing. And we're just going to scrape this right down. Now, what I do is I save everything. I end up making a lobster stock at the end of the day, and I make a nice bisque out of it. So I'll take all these bones and everything after everybody's eaten. I clear the table, goes right back into the stockpile with some celery, some onions, some carrots. I cook that down, I cut a little sherry wine in there, let it cook down and make a nice stock later. And I'll tell you, it really works. And then if you have any extra lobster meat at the end, it goes right in there. So we're gonna do the same thing with the other side. And we've got this cleaned up piece here. We've got the tail piece still in there. You just want to loosen that up just a little bit. And that's good that we saved this half of the body cavity, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean up the knuckle and claw, and we have a spot to put that meat as part of the presentation, okay? So, let me finish cleaning this guy. Get all that. Whoop. Sorry about that, sir. And then we've got the tamale. Hot tamale. Alright, so we've got those two bodies there, and the tail piece is now split in half. And the good thing about this too is, if you're trying to ration how much lobster you're going to give, this way here, like if you only buy a certain amount of lobsters, you give somebody a half, and then if you have extra, then they can come back for a second half. You get a little more mileage out of how much you bought. So okay, so now we're going to take the claw, and snap the claw off, and see, look at all that water in there. Again, that's going to go all over the place. So take the thumb part of the claw and just rock it back and forth, and you'll be able to pull that right out of there. Now sometimes when they're molting, the shell is real soft and you can crack it with your hands. Fortunately, the better lobster is when the shell's really hard and you can't break it with your hands, so use the back of your knife. Or you can use those lobster claw tools that they give you. And that's that. So then we take this, we put this in the body cavity, and then you take this knuckle part right here, and sometimes you have to crack this too. See, the shells are nice and hard. So now we're going to pull this back. And there's a lot of love in there too. See, look at all that love right there. Pull this piece out. And there's still another piece in there. This piece right here too. And then you've got your knuckle, and you've got your claw, and you've got your tail. Now be careful, because sometimes when you take the claw out, there's a piece of cartilage right in here, right inside, right in that area there, and it's almost like a bone, and you'll be able to feel it when you pull the claw meat out. You'll be able to feel it. So just be careful that you don't eat that, because it's like a bone. You can choke on it. So that's it. Now what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll put it on a plate like this, and it's not only is it better portion control, but it's also a lot easier for the guests to eat it this way now. So now we'll go ahead and we'll move this out of the way. You've seen how this gets broken down, and we'll show you what the final plate is going to look like. Okay, so wrapping this all up, we've got our finished product here. We've got the whole lobster split in half and presented like we talked about. I've got the the coleslaw that we made, the steamers that we did. We also paired it with some steamed corn on the cob and a nice baked potato to go with it. But to complete the package, we've got a nice New England clam chowder to serve with it, and this is featured on one of our quick riffs. You can check that out. And we've also got we paired it with a nice German Riesling. It's a 2009 Schmitt Riesling, and this comes from the Moselle region of Germany. And it's got a nice, bright, white, crispy taste to it, and it's got a nice floral aroma, but when I tasted it, I got a nice bite of Macintosh apple, so that goes really, really well with seafood. It's nice and light, and it's very high in acid, so it matches it perfectly. Oh, this is delicious. So, in closing, I want to thank you for joining me in my madness, my magic, and my mayhem. We will see you next time.